Okay, we've got a developing story coming out of the Middle East that we really need to break down. A U.S. military jet is down, and while some of the facts are clear, the story around why it happened is splitting into two, frankly, very dangerous narratives. So let's get into what we know, what's being claimed, and why this whole thing is turning into a battle over the truth itself.
So here's the bottom line, and it's a tough one. A United States Air Force KC-135 Stratotanker, we're talking a massive aerial refueling jet, has crashed. This is not a small deal. This is a huge, high-value American military asset with its crew lost over what is essentially hostile territory.
All right, so let's get grounded in the facts. Before we get into the debate, what are the things that everyone agrees happened? What do we know for sure? Here's the timeline we can confirm right now. On March 12th, you have two KC-135s flying a mission as part of Operation Epic Fury. While they're over western Iraq, some kind of mid-air incident, and that's the official term for now, occurs. The result was absolutely catastrophic. One of the tankers went down tragically with its crew. The second one, though, somehow managed to limp back to base, but it was severely damaged. This right here, this is the baseline that both sides of the story start from. And this is where the story just splits right in two. First up, let's look at the official explanation coming directly from the U.S. military. U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, they came out pretty fast with a statement. And they are not mincing words here. They're saying, point blank, that the loss was not due to any kind of fire, hostile or friendly. Their official story is that this was a tragic accident, period, not an act of war. So you have to ask, why are they so sure? Well, let's look at the evidence they're pointing to. First off, you have that very definitive statement from CENTCOM just flat out ruling out an attack. Then you've got the context. This happened during a refueling maneuver, which is an incredibly complex and, honestly, an inherently dangerous thing to do in the air. And maybe the biggest piece of physical evidence, that surviving tanker. When it landed, its tail and vertical stabilizer were just gone. That kind of damage lines up perfectly with a catastrophic impact in midair. But, almost as soon as the official story dropped, a totally different one started making the rounds from the other side. One that completely reframes this incident from a tragic accident into a deliberate attack. I mean, we're talking hours later, and suddenly, Iranian state media and social media channels linked to the Iraqi resistance are lighting up. They're not just suggesting it was an attack, they're taking credit. They're celebrating what they call a successful shoot-down of a major American target. Okay, so you gotta ask, right? Is this just talk, or is there something to it? Well, their whole claim, what makes it even remotely plausible, hinges on one very specific and, frankly, pretty unusual weapon. Meet the 358 loitering missile. Its nickname really says it all, the mine in the sky. See, this isn't your typical missile that just goes from point A to point B. The 358 can be launched into a specific area, and then it just waits. It flies around in a figure-8 pattern, patrolling, until a target flies right into its trap. And this is exactly why this counterclaim has legs. Think about it. This aerial mine concept is perfect for hitting predictable flight paths, like, say, a known tanker refueling track. On top of that, its weird flight pattern makes it incredibly hard for normal radar to pick up and track. And here's the real kicker. The KC-135 is an old plane. It doesn't have the fancy modern missile defense systems that could potentially stop something like the 358. It's a vulnerable target. So there you have it.
two completely different stories trying to explain one single tragic event. Was it an accident or was it an attack? And the whole debate comes down to how you interpret the exact same pieces of evidence.
And what's so wild about this is how both sides are pointing to the exact same piece of evidence to make their case: the damaged tail. The official U.S. story says, look, the missing tail is proof of a direct, catastrophic collision between the two planes. But the counterclaim says, no, no, no. A missile hit the first tanker's tail, which made it lose control and then slam into the second tanker. It's the same damage, leading to two totally different conclusions.
And this is where we have to zoom out, because this stopped being just about a plane crash a long time ago. We're now in the middle of a much bigger conflict, an information war fought with stories and propaganda.
Just think about the motivation here. For Iran and its allies, a successful shootdown of a U.S. tanker would be a massive propaganda victory. It would prove they have this new, potent capability. It would show the world they can hit the U.S. where it hurts. It sends an incredibly powerful message, whether it's actually true or not. So right now, with no black box data, no definitive wreckage analysis, there's a vacuum of information. And both sides are rushing to fill that vacuum with their own story. The crash itself has become more than just an incident. It's a flashpoint in this bigger battle to control the narrative.
And that's where we are, left waiting for more evidence while watching two very different realities play out in real time. A terrible accident and a claimed attack. It really makes you wonder, in modern conflict, what travels faster, a missile or a story?